Good morning, I'm Reverend Winchester, and I'm here today to share a little bit about who I am, my calling to be an Air Force chaplain, how I see that role working in the pluralistic environment of the Air Force, and my experience working in a team. So I'd like to start a little bit with teamwork. I have nearly 24 years of enlisted experience on submarines. And the only reason I bring that up is because without teamwork, it is impossible to do the job that is required of submarines, and it is possible to survive without that teamwork. So it is one of the most paramount aspects of who I am as a person. Now, moving into more of the ministry aspect, I've served as a pastor of a non-denominational Protestant church. And in that capacity, one of the things that I have found talking with people is that there is such a need for people between the ages of 18 and 30. It's the biggest need that's left untouched within a church. And the biggest reason I see for this is there's programs for kids, there's programs for so many different things inside churches. But once somebody graduates high school, turns 18, and they try to figure out who they are in the world, there's not a whole lot for them in a church. And so they go out to find themselves, and in the process, they try to figure out what their faith is, because they realize that growing up, the faith they were taught is their parents' faith, and they don't embrace it as their own. And so there's this vacuum there and this search for something. And I have found through my capacity as a lay leader for about 15 years total that the military is no exception. Military members also are trying to find out who they are moving forward and what their faith is. There's a lot of questions, there's a lot of seeking. And the amazing part about the military is the fact that we have chaplains. And no matter what the crisis is, whether it's a crisis of faith or something else in life, people know, service members know that they can go to a chaplain. That is a testament to the chaplains that have gone before me to be able to be held in such high regard that any service member knows they can go to a chaplain and talk, and they will be heard, they will be listened to, and they will be given good counsel. And so I hope that I will be able to join your ranks and to be able to provide that same kind of counsel and service to our service members. Now, I understand that as a chaplain, that I will be expected to talk to people of all different faith backgrounds. You know, not everyone is a non-denominational Protestant person. There's so many other faiths that are represented by the military and by the Air Force specifically. And so as a chaplain, I understand that I will come across all different faith backgrounds, and it is still my job to be able to listen, to talk to, and to provide counsel to those people. With that, you know, there may be people who there is no chaplain available for their faith background, and they're looking for some kind of service. So it is also my job to train up and certify lay leaders to be able to serve in that capacity as well. It's not about trying to promote my faith over anything else. It is about promoting a place of worship for all airmen. Now, the last thing that I want to talk to you about is a tragedy that has happened in my life recently. Last October, my senior pastor, he'd been the pastor of the church for over 17 years. He died suddenly of COVID. It was completely unexpected. He was doing great. He was at the hospital, but they were ready to send him home. And they called the family, said he would be coming home the next day. And when the next day came, he was gone. So it was just such a tragic, horrible thing to go through. And the family, they were grieving horribly. They needed a lot of counsel. And so it became my job to provide grief counseling, not just to the family, but to the entire church. And so as we moved forward, we had a team of elders, of deacons, and of one other pastor, and we moved forward, and we were there for the church, and we built the church and continued in a direction. But it wasn't just our team inside of our church. We teamed up with other pastors and with other people throughout other churches, and they all came together to help us move through that time. And so we worked together as a community, and during that time, it fell on me to do a majority of the preaching, at least every other week, sometimes as often as 6 weeks in a row. So there was a tremendous amount of leading the services, leading the people, not just preaching, but in counseling as well. And so during that time, we worked together with everybody, and one of the things that I saw was that the church continued to grow. And so in a horrible tragedy like this, most churches tend to see their numbers dwindle or even fall apart. And in our case, our numbers grew. And as we moved forward with the team of people that we had, we made a decision to join with another church. And we got to experience not just one church thrive, but now the two churches became one, and both churches thrived even more together. And in that process, one of the things that I had to do was I went from, for about a 6-month period, acting as a senior pastor in a church. After that 6 months, I had to take a step back and be an associate pastor in the church. And I have at least 2 other pastors above me now. And so I bring that up to go back to the question of, with so many years enlisted experience, being a senior enlisted and moving to become a junior officer, can I handle that transition? And to me, it's not even a question. It's about, how can I serve God? How can I serve my country? How can I do the two together? What is needed? And that's where I'll be. I would like to thank you for your time, for your consideration. I hope that as you've heard my story and you've gotten to see a little bit more about me, that you will see how I can fit into the chaplain team and be an asset to the Air Force and the community. And I would just thank you so much for your time, and I can't wait to be a part of serving God in this new way. Thank you very much.